If you're listening to this or watching this, you are part of the Resistance, and that means the base is open because it is time for the Resistance broadcast. Welcome back, everybody. I'm John. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us today. This is our news show where we're going to get into all the latest Star Wars news popping around the galaxy from movies, TV shows, comics, books, all that kind of stuff. We have some good stories to hop into, but first, let's say hi, as always, to James and Lacey. Guys, welcome back. The trailer rumors are absolutely insane, but as we stand here today, it looks like we're getting a trailer a week from today. Good times, great times, but until then, how are you?
I thought you were going to say good times,
great oldies.
Yeah.
What was that from? Is that like a Casey Kasem deal, or what is that?
I don't know. That's probably a popular oldie station that was broadcast. I don't know, or a
that's what I thought you were going to say.
Radio stations across. Yeah. I don't know, whatever. But this ain't no radio.
We should start our podcast like that, like smooth.
Actually, it's sort of radio. Podcasting is sort
good times. Star Wars, great oldies, like the original trilogy.
We all need to work on our radio voice, which is always like, you talk and you go up in the high to say the point, and then you drop low to finish your point.
That sounds like Bill Cosby. Not a good look these days. Lacey, what's going on?
Nothing. Hi. Excited to talk about Star Wars.
Did you guys, speaking of craziness, did you guys both saw the last week, the Freddie Prinze Jr. thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the best.
That was insane. Now, I know, James, you're not a big profanity guy.
I am.
But cause a lot of people took issue to him dropping F-bombs and stuff, but I felt like he was just so riled up and like, it felt like a very important, not because he's Freddie Prinze Jr., he's an actor, but also because he's in Star Wars and it's like, he's kind of like, this is the deal. Like, I learned from the guy who learned from the guy, like George Lucas. And he's just like dropping these truth bombs. I'm like, I never realized that Freddie Prinze was this versed in Star Wars. Like, I just thought he's a guy who hit his marks, delivered his lines, and did his thing. Like this, that was the most surprising part to me. I thought that was so cool.
I agree with that. Yeah. But the only thing about that thing that is weird to me is because he lays it out so plainly that it's like, if you disagree with this, you're stupid. Like, you're wrong. And I'm sitting there going like, there's things in here that I don't agree with, though, and it makes me feel like, I don't know, like, am I the crazy one? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was funny. I love when people get riled up and get really angry about, like, not dumb things, but like, I don't know, like pop culture-y things where they get on like tangents. Like when both of you, either you get riled up, like I find it kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, you get riled up too sometimes. Let's come on.
I'm saying from a viewer perspective. I can't view myself.
Yeah, right.
John.
Sure.
But
astral projection.
Yeah, but no, I thought he was really good, and I just loved how he was just like, if you don't agree with me, then you don't agree with George Lucas. So sorry, not sorry.
That's like one of those things where you're like, I am checkmating you, where I'm not allowing you to have a counterpoint. It's like, that's it, and I get that, but
yeah, this is information, not affirmation.
See, my view on the Force stuff is what I always felt was in line with what George always said, but he's saying now, something different, and then he's going, and that's coming from George. So if you disagree, you're wrong. And I'm like, but I've always felt that my opinion was based more on what George was saying, and not what it has become today.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know that it almost made me feel like. And this is crazy to say this, but I feel like I don't think you're right. I think you're misinterpreting what, Dave Filoni's telling you. Like, they can't be right. So am I the crazy one? It made me feel like I'm the crazy one, but I've felt like very, I don't know, satisfied with how I view Force and balance and stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine learning from Dave Filoni though. Like, that's your teacher. Mm-hmm. Like, I've learned about Star Wars and the Force from Dave Filoni. It's like kind of like,
what would be my fear is going into a conversation and having like a private chat with him about it, and him saying things that I'm like, no, I don't think that's it, But
or me just feeling like
I don't know what to say then.
Star Wars properly or something. Like,
Or me swooning because it's Freddie Prinze Jr. and he's still attractive.
oh, I thought you meant swooning over Dave Filoni. I was like, really?
No, I'm talking about Freddie Prinze Jr.
I do find though that my big, like, I think honestly the most important takeaway from his thing, besides that this is how the Force works, like his Harrison Ford moment or whatever, Han Solo moment, was he's like, it's for kids. He's like, it always was for kids. It's for kids now, and I'm sorry that you got old and you can't deal with that. Like, that's it. That is the crux of a lot of the problems going on with fans who are so mad these days and that sort of thing. And then the other thing, I was like looking around behind him because I'm like, is this Freddie Prinze Jr.'s like basement? Is this like, Sarah?
I don't think so.
I'm going down to podcast now. See you later, Buffy. And then he's like,
I would 100% subscribe to Freddie Prinze Jr.'s Star Wars podcast. Especially
should
now.
do it.
Oh, I would too. But he had some
Freddie, do it.
He had like an old WrestleMania arcade game behind him and stuff. Like, he probably has the coolest stuff in his house.
Probably.
He had a lot. If that was his house, I mean, he had like Funkos and stuff in action. He had like old wrestling action figures and stuff.
It's also important to remember after the fact, when all of us were going crazy over this, being like, look how cool this is. He tweeted like, stop making me a hero. I'm not a hero. Han Solo would get beat up by Captain Kirk. End of story.
I was
and
like,
everyone was just
I hate Freddie Prinze Jr. You suck, man. Yeah.
I just love how he's like, stop talking about me.
Right.
Stop it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I do like stuff like that though. But if you guys haven't seen it yet, it's on his Instagram. Is that what it was?
No, it's on like All About Comedy's Instagram. It's not his.
Yeah.
All right.
That was the podcast that he was on.
It's on our Twitter page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on there.
Yeah.
I think that maybe one day we should have that discussion. Like, what does bringing balance to the Force mean to us?
Yeah.
It's kind of been in the works for a long time, but I think we're all afraid to tackle it because it's so big.
Yeah, I think we should have that. We always say like, we got to have that one, and then we just never do. But, yeah.
Raylo, Bendemption,
Yeah.
Balancing the Force.
Yeah.
What else?
True. We have a lot to knock out in the next 3 months anyway when it comes to the episode 9 type stuff. Because if we have like the Bendemption argument in like January, it won't have the same moxie. Be like, well, he died, and that's that.
Or, oh, he lived and it came true. And oh my gosh, Lacey must be so happy right now.
Yes, you guys did just say the 2 possibilities. So let's
No,
move
James,
on.
you're forgetting his white shirt in the meadow with the thing and the.
Yes, you both just gave the options of the argument.
James, I was listening to you. I love when you get like you describe scenarios for characters and you do your Mad Libs, but you never point out specific objects. So and I was laughing out loud. You're on Pete's podcast and you go, yeah. So what if the Mandalorian gets sent to the place and he's got the thing? And I was like, he went to the place to go get the thing. I'm like, that's how you write it right there. That was funny. But anyway, so guys, we don't have any polls this week. I just didn't put one up. I couldn't think of a good one. I didn't want to force it. So sometimes going forward, we're going to do this type of stuff where we just kind of warm up the engines a bit and let us know if you dig that, or we'll just fire up polls again every week. But either way, we are reaching that time where it's time to get into the Resistance Report. So James, I know we got some stories to tackle and some stuff to kind of assess and turn a skeptic eye to and that sort of thing. So let's fire it up a little bit here. Resistance Report. What's up, man?
It's the Resistance.
All right, Resistance Report this week. I think most fans will be happy to hear that a trailer is coming soon, right? We've talked a lot about this, whether it was going to be the first week of October, the second week of October, the third week of October, or the fourth week of October. Turns out it is, in fact, the third week. It's going to be the 21st of October, as stated by Black Series Rebels, our friends over there. Now, for me personally, I know this is kind of getting discredited a little bit because they're not particularly known as leakers, but we know them personally. We're friends with them. We talk with them a lot. And we can really vouch for the stuff that they've told us in the past that they don't feel is important. That's not their brand. That's not their thing. They're not looking to break scoops. But the stuff that they tell us, they don't miss, you know? And we're always like, hey, that I guess they're saying that's going down, and then it goes down, and they're like never wrong.
One time,
that's my history with them. But John, what do you got on this one? They're telling us October 21st, and so we're reporting it.
So one time, my first time in LA, and I was like, I gotta get some breakfast, and I was going out for TLJ, and I wound up hanging out with them, and I was like, Steve, I need a good breakfast place, and he's like, go to the something market place and get the Fairfax or whatever. And it was at Egg Slut was the place, and the sandwich was called Fairfax. And
that place is good.
He's like, get that, and I got it, and it was great. So you're right. They are correct when they give us tips on things. So, no, my
Their
take
track history is amazing.
No, my take on this is I like you kind of just repeating what you said, James. How we know them, and we do have a good relationship with them for a long time since like we rebooted TRB. They were just getting going with BSR, and we considered each other like the Olympic and the Titanic, like sister shows and that sort of thing. We always kind of had that relationship with them. And all the way, I believe this. So it's funny that we're recording this before the 14th, and we're having so much confidence that it's not today that we're getting the trailer, that we're saying it's going to be next week. So that's the proof in the pudding right there alone. But I'm excited about it. It's going to be the day after my birthday. That means the announcement's going to come on my birthday if they go by the plan. So on this coming Sunday, we should be getting some kind of social media tweet saying, here comes the trailer tomorrow on Monday Night Football. And maybe here's the poster, because with TFA, they did debut the poster with the tweet. So I don't know, it's exciting times. And, someone put it this way. They're like, yeah, all the rumors and stuff about the trailers. But if you think about it, for Star Wars movies, we're not, unless they really change things up, which we'll get into, I guess, a little later in one of the stories, it may be a few years before we have one of these fun little times predicting trailers. So
Lacey, we did an episode a little bit ago, like a couple weeks ago. We were like last minute like trailer predictions and stuff. We've talked all that ad nauseum. Do you still stand by everything you said? You think it's still good to go?
It's tough because I said the 14th, and this episode's coming out on the 14th, and so I could potentially be right. But,
yeah,
but I'm gonna stick by what Black Series Rebel said, and John is sticking by, and you're sticking by that it will be the 21st. I also think it's interesting that that is Carrie Fisher's birthday. Someone had said that, and I actually Googled it and looked it up, and that is true. So that might be an interesting tie-in, like a tribute to her if it's on her birthday.
Like the trailer ends with a for Carrie or something, Maybe,
or more of like she's in it and it's on her birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of the
extra mile.
Instead of the typical this Christmas, it's just a picture of Carrie Fisher giving the finger, and they're like, there it is. No, that's a good point. And TFA's trailer was on like October 19th. And, it is...
Last Jedi was the 9th.
Right, which apparently was supposed to be the 16th, and then Mark Hamill's like, hey, everybody watched football on the 9th. And they
I remember because I watched it in my room at Disney World during my honeymoon.
Nice.
Yeah. I made us leave the park early so I could watch it.
But the 19th
I watched it at home. I remember being like, all right, this is it. And I sat down and was like just watched it right in front of the TV.
Before I was on the podcast.
Wait, which one? The TLJ one or TFA?
TLJ.
TFA.
Because TLJ...
I was talking TFA.
TLJ, we did something with TRB, James, right? Didn't we do some kind of like...
I was talking TFA.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what she was too.
Yeah.
I was not, because I wasn't with you guys yet.
Anybody who doesn't know Star Wars that just came in is like, what acronyms are they saying? They're all...
So the Force Awakens trailer was October 19th. And with this type of stuff, and you know how JJ likes to control his operation, I try to make comps to that as opposed to TLJ, The Last Jedi. So I think 21st makes sense. It's possible maybe they're like, JJ, here are the dates for those football games. And they're like, just so you know, Carrie Fisher's birthday is the 21st. And maybe JJ's like, that's the one.
Yeah. Also, too, like, what's
that's
the
a good
latest
point,
I could go? And they're like, 21st or 14th. And he's like, 21st. Like,
Yeah, give me more
latest I can
time.
And that still
possibly
gives
go.
them 2
Yeah.
months because this one's not out till the 20th, whereas I think The Last Jedi the Force Awakens were like the 15th or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it still gives them 2 months to push it, and it's still enough distance for The Mandalorian to still get a push with Disney Plus. So, I don't know. I know a lot of people are out there saying, well, you know, the 14th and 14th because of Maleficent and that sort of thing. But I was talking to those guys at Trailer Track, and they are very good. Like a lot of people, like Jeff Lowe at Lights Camera Barstool, always consults with them because he always gets his videos prepared for his, you know, big social blasts. They know what they're talking about. And 2 points he brought up were they don't. They try to be careful when they release the trailers because then they don't want them rated before they're out. Because if they get rated, then they get put on trailer boards, and that reveals to people, oh, that the trailer's coming and it's going to be this. So they do that. They post it first, then it gets rated the next day or two. It's probably going to be a PG-13. Disney apparently has never done this, and they don't like debuting PG-13 action trailers in front of PG family movies. Debuting, like opening weekend, family, get in the car, we're going to see Angelina Jolie. And then there's a PG-13 trailer. People can get upset about that because you're going to see blasters and stuff. And I get it. Star Wars is a family movie, but it's PG-13. And that's been Disney's track record that they don't do that. So
yeah, and Maleficent is in fact PG, which I thought was surprising, but I was like, oh, it is PG.
This whole thing about them like debuting it in front of Magnificent is like
Magnificent.
He knows what he said.
Is a fan thing. Everyone has just said, oh, it's a big Disney movie, so it has to be in front of that. And just because everyone is call it culture, doesn't mean it's accurate. Like everyone was saying it was going to be the 7th. Everyone was saying it was going to be the 14th. And these things keep happening, but not happening. Because everyone just hears it here. Yeah. It gets posted by some random Twitter account like Star Wars aficionado. And they're like, oh, okay, that has 1,000 likes. That must be true. And then it's the sick game of telephone.
As someone that had to eat a spoonful of sugar because I thought that they were going to put a trailer before Mary Poppins, I can tell you all that it's not accurate.
You know, I'm so happy you said that because this past Thursday, you said, I've lost every bet we've made. And you lost that one big time.
Wait, so why are you happy that I admitted that I've lost everything?
Yeah, because last week you said I lost every bet that we've made. On if you go back to last Thursday's episode.
We both have.
Yeah. Okay.
You okay? What?
Lacey, we still have that poster bet. When that poster comes out, if Luke and Leia are not on it, big trouble.
I said they weren't going to be on it.
No. I said they weren't going to be on it. You said they were.
No, I said Leia would be on it.
Yes, right.
I didn't say Luke would be on it.
I said they won't be. And then if I win, I get that Poe Dameron helmet in the back there.
Okay, I bought it for $20, so you can have it.
I thought
Whoa.
Oh no, I get your Akbar.
Get out. No.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
and then I'm going to put them on my grill and cook them up and eat them up the calamari.
Plastic.
One other thing about this trailer thing I want to point out too is that correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think Alex or Steve did confirm that it's the final trailer. I said that when I posted it to Reddit, but because I've gotten a lot of comments about that, like, what final trailer? That doesn't make sense. So we're only getting like 1 or 2 trailers, and I'm like, yes, like that's how it's always been. They refer to the stuff that comes out in the
TV
spring
spots
as teasers, and then every Star Wars movie, Rogue One, you know, all that stuff has had like one major fall trailer. Not to say that they're not going to reveal more things in TV spots, which to be fair, that's the thing that fans hate. They like the trailers, they like the teasers.
Hate the TV spots.
as soon as they get really close to the movie, they want to be like, I'm done. But they start putting more and more of these like new footage.
With Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Yeah.
In high number TV spots, like TV spot 56. And I'm not joking about that.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be a lot of new footage and a lot of things revealed. It's not like this is the final thing that you will see before the movie comes out.
Well, they also do the international trailer
to be
too,
the
James, don't
official
forget.
final full one trailer, not teasers. This is the trailer for the movie.
James.
Boom.
They usually do an international trailer, which is a variant of this
Oh, that's true.
final trailer. So it's just, it'll have one or two different shots in it.
Yeah.
But it's not a different trailer. It's just like, here's the variant for this market. And
I did forget about international trailer.
So this is the final trailer to like as a bulk trailer. Yes. You were not wrong. But the one thing that is true, BSR Black Series Rebels did not say it would be Monday Night Football. That was just me saying it's going to be Monday Night Football. Like they're not breaking that mold. It's the date is the 21st, which is a Monday. They're not in the middle of the workday popping it on before the price is right. You know, it's going to be at the most watched Disney property channel that night, which is ESPN, which millions of people are going to be watching that football game. It's Patriots, Jets, which, you know, whatever. It could have been any two teams. But the fact that it's a big watch game, they're not breaking that mold. It's worked. And so, yeah.
And you're going to have like Al Roker or someone be like, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be seeing the Star Wars trailer.
Probably Mike Tirico, I think, does it still.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Some guy.
I guarantee
Every
they'd
time
say
I'm
something
Who are
like-
these people? They're like, I can't wait for C-3PO to be back. He's my favorite character. I'm like,
No, they always say coming up next is the newest trailer from a galaxy far, far away.
Are you trying to tell me they're not going to say the Force is strong with...
No, they don't. They only say that when someone shows up. Like next up, our next guest, the Force is strong with Daisy Ridley.
Right.
Or they say that about like a fan. Like this next fan's Halloween costume, the Force is strong with their...
You ever think like Daisy's behind the curtain after all these years and they're like, the Force is strong with... And she's like...
Yes, I guarantee
Yeah.
because everybody else is doing that. All New York Comic Con weekend, I saw people writing that. The Force is strong with this cosplay. We get it.
But the first time when she was like new to it, she's probably like, oh, I never thought about it like that before. I guess the Force is strong with me.
I guess it is. All right, you guys want to talk
Do you
about...
guys have tattoos?
You guys want to talk about Al Roker's favorite character, C-3PO?
That
just made
segue
that up. I don't know.
though.
That's an exclusive. Al Roker is
Min.
a huge fan. Yeah.
Anthony Daniels was out promoting his book, and he was doing some interviews. And the main interview is actually mostly in French, but we did have someone from Reddit who was kind of translating the whole thing. And throughout the interview, Anthony talks a little bit about, you know, him working with R2-D2 and his scenes and stuff. He also talked a lot about Rey and Kylo's big fight at the end. He's not there, but he was there as a person viewing. He was on set
Spectator,
watching this, saying some things like, you know, it was over the course of like 7 days and it was just like waves and waves and waves, and we got to give it to them. They're great actors. And, you know, JJ is doing something so special with this movie. There's not going to be any controversy around it. It's just like grabbing all the loose threads, bringing it all together. And, you know, it's going to be a very satisfied thing. And he was very openly praising just about everybody having to do with the production, but mostly, you know, Daisy Ridley and J.J. Abrams, stuff like that. So Lacey, when you heard some of the statements coming from Anthony Daniels, I don't know, what'd you think?
Well, I think, of course, he's going to be super positive. I don't think he's ever been negative about anything about the movies because he's just happy to be a part of it. C-3PO is like his legacy. I found the fight scene stuff pretty interesting only because they're like, they shot it in November. They're just dumping buckets of water on them. They had to like do this for 7 days. It's intense. It's crazy. So the fact that they did this scene for 7 days straight must just tell you how intense this epic battle is. Also, poor Daisy Ridley, for the second movie in a row, they're just dumping water on her because Last Jedi, they did the same thing with Luke, and then they drop her in a pool and stuff. Yeah. I'm so excited to see that scene. I think that's the scene I'm looking forward to the most. That one and the TIE Fighter one, which I hope makes it into the movie. Could you imagine that's the teaser and that's not even in the movie?
Could be. I was watching that.
That would drive me nuts.
I was watching that Force Awakens final trailer again, and they're like 80% of the dialogue in that is just not in the movie.
And like the Leia getting the lightsaber from Maz. And
Yep.
Yeah. Plus, they use the Force theme, and the Force theme never shows up in the movie.
yeah, right. I could see that whole speech with Luke voicing over to Rey not being in the movie. You know?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, Lacey. I interjected there.
It's okay. Interject away.
Do you guys, either one of you, have any thoughts on him saying, I was getting to work with R2 again?
I was, I'm excited about that. I've been beating that drum for a long time that these two, that was my one gripe with this trilogy, is that these two haven't really been together and given us that comedic old school pairing. And like the way he described the scene, it's not spoilery, but it's enough. Like he can't see, but he has to pretend he can. And you just know R2's going to give him some wisecracks about that. And we're going to get those old feels. So I like that. I like hearing those types of things because it's not spoiling the movie for me, but it gets me excited more than maybe this trailer will. I love hearing that sort of thing, especially this might be their last rodeo, at least with Anthony Daniels in the suit. He's 73 now. He may come back to voice C-3PO one day, but it might be his last time in the actual suit, putting his hand on the old dome there. I did find it weird. He said there was another actor now but they actually did have a human in R2-D2, which was interesting. It wasn't Jimmy V. And then the other thing, him acknowledging fan turmoil and stuff like that. I didn't realize someone like him had an awareness of. I thought this was just in a bubble about, fan anger and that sort of thing. But
I think everybody knows. Yeah. I think it's so much out there in the media and everywhere else that I think even if they're not active on Twitter like Daisy, I'm sure they know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I find it interesting. It's 6 days for this fight, though. I like that. I like hearing that. That means they really go at it with this battle here, and it might not be the end of the movie. I'm guessing it very well could be, especially if it's this epic of a battle. I can't imagine them having the biggest duel in like the middle of the movie, and then at the end they're like, well, let's just bang the swords a couple times. So you got to think maybe that is towards the end of the movie if it's that grand of a thing.
I'm gonna bet you're gonna get the three big scenes. You're gonna get Rey and Kylo fighting over there in the storm or whatever. Then you're gonna be cutting over to Poe leading the space battle, and then you're gonna cut down to Finn and Jannah and other things leading like some sort of like ground assault kind of thing. I think they're just gonna go for like the classic Star Wars ground, space, and I don't know, main family protagonist battle.
You mean like Return of the Jedi, where they had people on Endor, people in space, and then Luke with the Emperor?
And Phantom Menace, where they had the Gungans, and then they had the space battle that was going on, and then they also had Qui-Gon, and actually they had a couple other things in that too, because they were trying to like up the ante. But I think like the majority of it is kind of like there's stuff happening on Naboo, there's stuff happening above Naboo, and then there's stuff happening like with Darth. It's also on Naboo, but it's like specifically Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, and that's like the Force family connective Sith Jedi stuff, which I think is how they're going to do this as well.
Well,
imagine they have that pool with all the waves, and obviously it's like a wave machine, like super high tech. Yeah. But imagine if it was just a guy with a bucket, like this guy Dale, that's just like, and dump, and he's just
or like a really highly trained seal that's just like they feed him a fish, and then he like starts flapping like it's like moving the water.
It could be, or it's an old Thala siren puppet left over from TLJ that they get to like flap water up and down.
Or he's just squirting it from his boobs.
And they call him Anakin, and then there you go.
It's a group of 20 people that all crowd together in the pool, and then they all start jumping up and down at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
to get
Could
it
you
to
imagine?
do this
JJ's like,
thing.
again, do
Yeah,
it again.
again.
That's why it took 7 days.
Yeah. It's like Herb Brooks blowing the whistle in Miracle. I don't know if someone will get that reference, but I also think he's kind of like brushed aside the people who are boycotting. He's like, they're going to come see it. It's the last one.
Yeah.
He said they're going to be the first in
He's like,
line.
they'll be there opening day.
Yeah, he said not only that, the first in line.
That's
he said
true
they'll
though.
be
No
first.
one's not going to see this. They want to see it so they can go make hate movies about it. So I mean, no one's boycotting this movie. They're gonna go
I feel
see it.
seen now.
That's funny.
Make all my hate videos.
I'm telling you, I like what he had to say here. I don't know if I'm gonna read his book. Maybe. Sometimes Anthony Daniels is a bit much for me. And I'm sure if I read his book, I'll only hear the C-3PO voice, but
I'm probably going to do audiobook.
is he doing the audiobook?
I'm sure.
I would doubt that he wouldn't.
Then
or
maybe
he
I
pass
would.
on
I
that.
don't know. He's such a ham. So I don't know. We'll see.
He is.
Yeah.
He definitely is.
Like the book actually reads like him talking, and then one time, or let me tell you this, and then he goes like off on a tangent.
Right. I just picture him with his gold jacket on and like doing this sort of thing. Yeah, I'm gonna miss that guy. Hope he sticks around.
He's like, we went to the place, and then we got the thing.
Yeah, the place and the thing. Yes.
All right. So the last story up this week is just kind of a. Let's just kind of talk about it. Let's just bring it up to the surface a little bit. More rumblings of Kathleen Kennedy stepping down from Lucasfilm. We're hearing this again. Most recently, I think like Jason Ward was speaking at it on his podcast. You know, hey, I've heard this. Kathleen Kennedy stepping down after Indy 5. She's going to continue to produce movies and stuff. I wouldn't necessarily say that this is like a confirmed story. This isn't like a major outlet. I mean, if you want to consider making Star Wars an outlet that's reporting it, then that's fine. But I think in general, this is kind of a story that it seems to be like on the underground. Like a lot of people are hearing this, but nothing's ever really confirmed or coming, to light necessarily. And maybe that's because the only person that can really make this decision is Kathleen Kennedy. It's not like she's put in her resume and everybody knows, but they're not announcing it. You know what I mean? I think it's just maybe she's mentioned it or something to a couple people. So there's rumblings, but ultimately I think the decision is always going to be in her hands and no one's going to know what she's going to do until she does it because it's one person. It's not a corporation. It's not a business decision that a lot of people have to be in the know. It's just, if she decides to move on or something, that's just going to be how it goes. So anyway, let's open that up just a little bit. What are your guys' thoughts on the most recent rumors, the wave of rumors, I should refer to them, pun intended, about Kathleen Kennedy stepping down?
Well,
Go ahead, John.
I think Jason, because I don't want to, start any issues here. I think Jason Ward said I didn't report this on my site. He's like, I just talked about it on my podcast. So I think it was something like he wanted to report. He probably would have put it on his blog, which he didn't. So I think it was just one of those things. He's like, this is out there. Let me talk about it. Just to be clear. So we're not saying he reported this. He's talking about
No, I'm just saying he most recently was openly saying, I've heard this too.
Yeah, sure. And
He's not saying it's not my story.
Here-
I'm just saying the stories that I'm
Right.
hearing lined up with what I've heard as well.
Here's my take on this. So say there are rumors about this going on. First of all, okay, fine. But if, say Kathleen Kennedy does step away after Indiana Jones 5 comes out, I don't see what the big deal with that would be. She's going to be around 70. Maybe, she's like, you know what? I've been doing this for 40 whatever years. I have more money than I'll ever need. I'm good. I'm going to hand it over to Kevin or whatever. And this was my plan all along. I was going to do the sequel trilogy and all these other films and make sure there's a firm grounding here. And that's it. Maybe that's her plan. So first of all, then there's no hubbub there. The other thing is, I think, a lot of people are going to constantly, you have the people who hate Kathleen Kennedy who are like, yes, we're the reason this is happening. And that's the only thing that bums me out about it is eventually when she does decide to hang it up or retire, they're going to be like, we did it. Yeah, it was us. And that sort of thing's kind of annoying. But I could see her stepping down, and I don't think it's that bad if people are like, well, we're also hearing this and talking about it. It doesn't mean you want it to happen. So I think, excuse me, I think people need to compartmentalize what this thing's all about. I don't know that there's any truth to this happening right now. There's an announcement coming, but I mean, you bring in someone like Kevin Feige, he's not going to be like, I'm going to just do the one Star Wars movie and go back to Marvel. He's obviously being brought in for a reason, I think. So whether that's for more producing, or Kathleen Kennedy's like, you know what, I want to go back to producing. I don't want to be a president. There could be a lot of moving parts here, and no one really knows, James. Like you said, it's one person's decision. It's her decision. No one has said the word firing. They've been very successful with the money that they've made with these Star Wars movies, Solo aside, but we know what happened with that. So I don't see it as a big poisonous thing. I just think people are tired of another rumor came out, like the Rian Johnson thing, like another rumor coming out. So I think that's where people are annoyed with it. But if she hangs it up, I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest with you. But I think we're all at the point where we just rather her be like, I just want to announce after Indiana Jones 5 comes out that I've had enough, and this has been great, and I'm making a decision. So I don't know.
Go for it, Lacey. What do you got on this? I have a couple things to say, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
Well, I said this, I feel like the first time we ever spoke about this was when John Rocca was on, and we talked about when the first rumblings were coming out.
That's right.
I was right after Solo that she was going to get fired. And I believe I was the first one to talk about it. And I said basically what John said, which is like, if she's leaving on her own terms. She's not going to have anybody fire her. Mm-hmm. She's like literally one of the most successful movie producers of all time. Not just...
Second only to Kevin Feige.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't want to make a claim that I was unaware of.
Oh no, she's the most earned box office moneymaker producer of all time, second to Kevin Feige.
That makes sense. So, when it was announced that Kevin Feige was helping out with some Star Wars project, automatically you're like, okay, well, he's said on the Star Wars show that he loves Star Wars and it's influenced who he is, and he's always brought things from Star Wars into the Marvel movies and stuff like that. So it would make sense that he would continue on with other Star Wars projects. He's not going to just do one. It's like kind of like you get the bug of Star Wars. Why would you leave? Is he going to take over for Kathleen? Maybe. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's done a really good job with Marvel. I have my own concerns because I feel like Marvel's like this money-making machine, and they've done a really good job with, I would say, the majority of the Marvel movies, but there are a couple movies that you're like, eh. So I get a little protective because it's Star Wars, like any fan does. But I think that Kathleen has done an amazing job, and I'm just really sick, like John said, of people just being like, oh, she's leaving because of what we said. This has nothing to do with you. She is a strong, smart businesswoman. She knows what she's doing outside of your complaints on YouTube.
She was churning out blockbusters when you were 4. Like,
yeah, like what are you talking about? She's like responsible basically for all of modern pop culture, basically. So I'd like her to make an announcement herself, only because then she kind of owns up to that. Hey, this is my personal plan of my life. But I do want to talk about something else, but I'm going to see what James says first about this.
Well, I was basing it just kind of what John was saying. I was going to say I like the way that you put it, as far as like, if she does step down, she's had just long enough of a career doing this Lucasfilm thing to say that it was like good. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a surprise. Like, for instance, like when people go into high school, they do 4 years of high school and they're like, yeah, I did 4 years. That's an accomplishment. Or like most people in college too. Like, I did 4 years of college. That's the accomplishment. But if you did like 1 year of high school, then I understand there's like, getting out of there and stuff. But like, what I'm saying is like, in general, like if she was the Lucasfilm president for 1 year, I mean, that gets weird, right? She's done 5 years of Star Wars films, with producing a movie every single year, which in most case, when you look at the people who have done Star Wars in the past, they've done 3 films in 6 years. So it's like
and overseeing
doing 5 films in 5 years is like a crazy. That's a big chunk of Star Wars. Like, I did that. That was my thing, my legacy. I'm out. I'm done, and that's totally fine. It's not like 5 years in and she's gone.
Yeah.
It's like that's common for Star Wars.
and the
right?
shows too, James. Let's not
Yeah,
forget those shows.
Mandalorian. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all that too. You know, like I just think like you're dead on saying like if she left now, it would be like not because there was problems, because it was like I gave a huge chunk of Star Wars to the fan base, and now I'm done.
And
yeah,
just to add on that before Lacey brings up her next point, 2012 was the purchase. She was already with Lucasfilm before that. And if she's leaving after Indiana Jones 5, that's 2021. We're talking about like 10 years.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
how many people out there listening or watching right now were at one job for 10 years? That was her after being insanely successful and doing this job. So when you put it in that perspective, like a decade of running Star Wars, Lucasfilm. I mean, Lucas did it for 30 years, so she did it for a third of the time he did it, and people don't look at it that way.
Yeah,
But
I looked up that stat just a minute ago, the like highest money earner stat or whatever, and I was right. Kathleen Kennedy has produced 28. Oh shoot, now I got to pull it up, but I think it was 28 films, and the highest or the biggest like push for her was the Force Awakens at $2 billion. 35 films. Kevin Feige has done 28.
Nice.
Yeah. What you got, Lacey?
So this has been like kind of around the internets. and it kind of plays into Kathleen only because this is part of, I guess, her legacy in the sense of she brought this person in and she's potentially bringing this person into other projects. So I wanted to know what you guys thought of the current Rian Johnson comments and quotes about his project, because we've been talking about this for almost a year now, or more than a year, of when they announced his projects.
2 years.
And 2 years, yeah. Announced his projects, and it started with like, oh, Rian Johnson's getting his project. Then it was, oh, I'm working on the project. I'm writing it. Then it was, oh, we've got some ideas. Then it was, yup, it's still happening. And then the most recent one, he was, I believe, at the London International Film, something like that, festival, like last week. And he told press that he was, Lucasfilm is figuring it out, and that he was working on other projects, so it was fine, and that they would let him know what the deal was. So I obviously don't want to get into like super negatives. I really, really like Rian Johnson, and I think he did really cool things with The Last Jedi. So that's not where I want this conversation to go. I just find it interesting that if he isn't doing a project, what are they waiting for?
Yeah, and Knives Out is supposed to be great too, by the way.
99% Rotten Tomatoes with
Yeah.
84
you know,
reviews.
Lacey, it's good that you bring this up in this conversation because it's almost like the same thing. If Lucasfilm is having trouble figuring out their timetable, they don't know what they want to do. How are we going to handle this? How are we going to set all this stuff up? We need to readjust after Solo. We had promised these people these films and we're not really sure. We're figuring it all out. And if in the mix of that, they go, this Rian Johnson thing, I just don't think it's going to be feasible because we want to be releasing movies at specific times now, and having his stuff in there too is going to be like double what we wanted to do. If they let him go, then it's the same thing that we were saying before. Like people are going to say, "Oh, that's because blank," and it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It was because of a like total logistical reason of like we can't sort out what movies need to go where and when. We've reevaluated our plan. It isn't reevaluating our plan because those movies sucked, you know?
Right. I just want him to walk away. If it doesn't work out, I want them to go like, you know what? Why don't you walk away? Because that's more
still
of like
a loss though, because they're going to say, I don't want to say they, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
It's possible that there could be a dialogue that says, well, sure, he's leaving, just like, you're fired. I quit,
I guess.
We're
I'm
going
just
to
trying
let
to take
you, what's it called when you like put in, we're going to let you resign?
resignation. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like,
I think
Forced
It's just weird that the
resignation.
quotes have gone from I'm writing and
Right.
I
actively
agree.
working on this and Ram and I are coming up with great ideas and all this stuff. And now it's like, it was the most wishy-washy answer. And now it's gotten everybody like, wait, what? What's going on? Because he was like, oh, they're figuring it out. And, it's totally fine. And it kind of sounded like when you break up with someone and you're just like, oh, yeah, like I'm doing other things. And like, that's totally cool that they're with that new person. It doesn't bother me at all. It's like I'm like totally a new person.
Ryan
I have a new hair.
yeah.
Ryan
I don't
Johnson's
even- I
stalking Kevin
unfollowed
Feige's
her on
Facebook page.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's at 3 a.m.
So
scrolling through
fine.
Kevin Feige's Instagram looking for photos with Kathleen Kennedy. He's like, damn it. No, I'm glad you brought this up, Lacey, because one, I kind of wanted to put it in the title of the episode, so good. But the future of Star Wars, I think they have a lot of things like, all right, so this is what we're looking at here, but they're waiting until after episode 9 to.
That's what I think.
So it's possible that Ryan may be out. I mean, I'm not trying to start rumors here or anything. I'm saying, let's say maybe that's the case. He could just be saying like, I respect you guys. I'm a part of this trilogy. JJ's my guy. I'm going to play ball and say whatever I need to say to kind of like toss these questions aside so you can have all the positivity aimed at this movie. This isn't about me and that sort of thing. Because him saying like, well, I'm still talking to them and that sort of thing. Like you say, we went from it's on trilogy.
Yeah, we're working
He's
on the
directing
story,
the first
yeah.
one. He's writing all 3 to me and Ram
Yeah.
are writing. We're working on it. We're talking to them.
He literally said, I'm working on other things. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm doing other things, so it's totally fine that they haven't called me.
So,
it's like totally okay.
I
Well,
think-
that was part of his other quote too, because
Yeah.
he said he wanted to do one more movie after
Yep.
Knives Out
Yeah.
before going into Star Wars. So that again is like on his timetable thing, but it also could be like, hello, Lucasfilm, please leave a voicemail. And so he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
well,
right. And let's not
hey
forget,
guys, if I don't hear back by Friday, I'm gonna go ahead and say okay to Knives Out 2
Knives Out
or whatever.
too. Yeah.
Knives Out too.
But let's not forget
Knives is out.
Yeah,
that current schedule they had for the movies,
machetes out.
his was not on there. So it would have been at least 3 years before his first movie came out by that current schedule that they released. That's best case scenario. That's me and
Right.
Ram are still working on it schedule scenario. So now you have him, I'm still talking to them. That to me punts the football even further down the field. And I think there is some kind of announcement or plan in place. But like I say, they want all the rose-colored glasses right now through episode 9 for the next 2 months. And then after that comes out into first quarter of 2020, your Bob Iger quarterly call that everyone's like, he's going to reveal something. Maybe they'll start saying new things about what's going on and that sort of thing. There's stability with Disney Plus. That's getting launched. You got your 3 confirmed series there. That's good.
I gotta sign up for that, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully we get that solo one down the line.
man.
Who knows? But then when it comes to the movies, you're going to start getting the shakeup with Feige. Is he launching a Star Wars universe sort of thing with new stories? Is that going to
Right.
involve Benioff and Wise for treatments? Is that going to involve Ryan Johnson for a script? And that we'll get more clarity on that. But we're not going to hear any of it for the next 2 months until episode 9 comes and goes.
It's just so weird. And as soon as I read it, I was like, what? And then I had to watch the video of him saying it, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
You just said you
Yeah.
were doing this a couple months ago.
And you know what?
all
say,
of this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say all of this is weird, assuming Bob Iger is still in power, assuming Kathleen Kennedy is still in power, and they're just
Right.
like reassessing things, right? But then you got to think the longer this goes, maybe Kathleen Kennedy does step down. We already know that Bob Iger is stepping down. So put a new Disney CEO in, put a new president of Lucasfilm in. Kevin Feige comes in, and it's very possible that he's going to do great stuff. But at the same time, he goes, I wasn't working on this Rian Johnson thing. I don't see the point of this. This is not my plan.
Yeah.
You know, we just don't know. You know, at this point, we're just kind of at a loss, and we can only go on what they're telling us, which is like the Rian Johnson stuff's happening. We haven't disconfirmed it. So,
and if Rian Johnson leaves, and there's gonna be guys like, I told you this was gonna happen, and then it's just like, okay, you don't have to be here.
Yeah, now you don't have to be so angry.
It's like the end of the Truman Show, when Truman Show is over and the people are just sitting there like, now I don't know what to do with my life. It's over.
I want them to recut that movie, but add in Rian Johnson. He's like sitting.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
No, he's the director.
Oh, Christoph.
in the Moon.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
No, but it's like one of those, like, my whole life is dedicated to hating Rian Johnson. If Rian Johnson leaves, then you leave too. So that's it. So
I got you.
And Kathleen leaves.
Yeah,
Then
I
they're
mean,
like,
it's just one of those things where it's like, now you have nothing to hate now. So we release you. So there you go.
if you love something, let it go.
Yeah, I'll let them go.
All right, guys, you want to try to wrap this whole thing up. But the Resistance report was kind of crazy this week.
Yeah.
A lot of rumor stuff, a lot of hearsay.
Yep.
When it even comes to like Anthony Daniels is talking about the movie, but it's just kind of like his opinion on it. But yeah, let's try to wrap this episode up. We're moving on to the Scoundrels rundown.
Quick style on three. 1, 2, punch it.
Punch it.
All right, guys, quick rundown here. For all you Thrawn fans out there, just like me, that's why I'm wearing a blue shirt today. There's another Thrawn trilogy of books coming by Timothy Zahn. His typewriter is going to be working overtime. That's right, Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy is heading your way via the Thrawn guy, Timothy Zahn. We were at the New York Comic Con panel. Lacey and I, with our buddy Mark Newbold and what's his name, who does the audiobooks, Mark Thompson, was reading the prologue to kind of tease us into what this new project's going to be, and he started doing his little Thrawn voice. People are like, oh my god, it's Thrawn, and he said Chiss Ascendancy, and they put it up on the board there. So another trilogy of Thrawn books coming your way. I don't know what that means about Thrawn potentially being in other avenues, but you're getting 3 more Thrawn books, so get excited about that. Also, Marvel Star Wars Allegiance 1 review is on StarWarsNewsNet.com by Jordan. He only gave this one a 6 out of 10, said it wasn't all that good. He said the artwork was a little choppy on this one. I think this is the one where I said Kylo Ren looks like Lou Diamond Phillips. So yeah, it is a little weird on the art scale though, but it does get our appetite going for what's going on between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So check that out if you'd like. If you just want to check out the review, go to Star Wars Newsnet, and Jordan's got all the spoiler details right there for you. And last but not least, I'm not going to say too much about it, but we are updating our Patreon page next month. So we just want to tease a little bit on that to you guys, because we're coming up on 1 year for our Patreon page. So just remember the date, 11/7/19, and that's all I'm going to say. And that is the end of the Scoundrels rundown. So we're going to send it over to Lacey, so now we can hear from you guys and get your questions and ask the Resistance. So I forgot about you last week, buddy, but this week I won't. Chewie, get us out of here.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. You guys have Star Wars questions. Hopefully we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So the first question comes from Shannon Smith at Scuttle Butter SS. I kind of like that, Scuttle Butter.
Mm-hmm. You like that?
I'm hoping it's not something disgusting, because it kind of.
I think of
like
scuttlebutt and then butter, and then I think butter.
I think
and
Shannon
like
she always comments on her stuff, and she said she has a little YouTube channel, and she says she always mentions us. So thank you, Shannon.
Oh, thanks, Shannon. So she asks, even though it's early, who will be at Celebration? Deborah Chow, who's the Kenobi series director, Kevin Feige, Benioff and Weiss, Rian Johnson, or Ewan McGregor. So obviously you're thinking, who else outside of that? I'll go first because ladies first, and because I know a little bit about Celebration. So, Deborah Chow, yes, you definitely will. You'll also see Ewan McGregor. I think Kenobi's going to be definitely a main stage panel at the next Celebration. When do they start filming that? Did they announce that yet? Or
I think I heard early next summer, so they could still be filming.
They could show you like a trailer or something though, because Celebration's in August.
Unless they do a live via satellite. Here's Ewan McGregor. Hey guys, I'm on the set. Here's my beard.
They'll fly him in. They'll fly him in.
From Jordan, they're like, hop on the plane. You're going to California.
Oh yeah, it's Disney. They'll fly him in.
$2 billion for Force Awakens.
Kevin Feige, I could definitely see him being there. Seeing as he's now involved officially with Star Wars, it's just an easy thing to do, especially if they decide in the next, after the saga series is over, they decide to do more of a calendar type idea like they do with Marvel, where he releases more projects or he comes into a bigger role within Lucasfilm. So obviously all of this is pinch of cinnamon, because with the exception of Kenobi, because we know Kenobi's going to have a big presence. So Ryan Johnson.
I just got excited.
Oh, yay. Ryan Johnson. So Shannon, you just listened to our little bit of a discussion on Ryan Johnson. That is a big fat question mark, based on what happens after, I think, the Rise of Skywalker. I don't know why I just paused on that. Rise of Skywalker. To see what happens with that movie and whether Ryan is still involved or not, because he's making some questionable comments to press now.
Were you about to say the Rise of Solo?
No, I don't know what I was about to say. For some reason I questioned it in my head. Benioff and Weiss, I think you will see. They tend to do panels a lot of like, what's the future of Star Wars? In 2016 in London, they had like the Solo people, so the directors there, and then they had Alden there, and they talked about Rogue One, and they talked about like a lot of like what's coming, including like Rebels with Thrawn and all this stuff. So I could see them doing like what's coming down the road, which would include all these people. But it's going to be interesting because you won't have any saga series films, so all those people probably won't be there. But the question is, will they let them autograph? Because Lucasfilm in the past has not let them autograph because of the saga series.
Yeah.
So now that it's over, maybe they'll let them autograph. I hope that answers your question a little bit. We'll probably have a better idea in the spring after Rise of Skywalker is over. And I guarantee you'll have more Mandalorian stuff too.
Once we get those inside deets on Celebration.
It's I meant to say like they'll probably be more open with stuff if it goes really well. If it goes badly,
Lacey's
they're
like,
probably
this
not
guy's backstage. Don't tell anybody.
Okay, I didn't say don't tell anyone.
No, you didn't. I was like, James, guess what?
I just texted.
He's like, I got the text too.
Yeah, I sent it to both of you.
It's
McDormand. James just got it 7 months later.
Just now.
Yeah.
Just now. All right. Next is Commander Cody 1 at comdr_Cody 1. And Cody writes, we know Kevin Feige is developing a Star Wars movie in an MCU with an MCU actor in mind. What are the chances it's Dr. Afra, starring Gemma Chan?
Dr. Alfra.
Is it Gemma or Gemma?
I think it's Gemma.
I think it's Gemma.
I think it's Gemma.
Nope.
It's the really, really, really pretty woman from Crazy Rich Asians.
Is it Gemma or Gemma?
I think it's Gemma.
Gemma.
I think it's Gemma.
Anyway, so the Doctor is a Marvel Comics character, and they must be impressed with Gemma enough to cast her twice already. So she was in, what was she in? She was in Captain Marvel, and then she was also cast in something else, right?
In the Marvel universe?
Yeah.
Isn't she
in that
association
new thing?
To Shang-Chi?
No, I think she's in that other thing with Angelina Jolie. I don't know. I don't follow like Marvel a lot. But anyway, James, what do you think?
Angelina Jolie. Okay, so I don't know. The question kind of says, about like an MCU actor in mind. We don't know who that is. But Gemma Chan, having been in Captain Marvel is interesting because I saw that movie and didn't know that it was her. So that I only found that out because of this question. I was like, what Marvel movie was she in? I looked it up and I was like, oh, she played that character. Interesting. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't put that together. I have seen her in Crazy Rich Asians, which is a really good movie and she plays her part well. But between her and the lead of that movie, Constance Wu, I think Constance Wu much better embodies Dr. Aphra. Because Dr. Aphra is funny and carefree,
quirky,
and is kind of like a Han Solo-y type character. And you get that from Constance Wu because she can be serious, but she can be funny. So I'm not even saying that she's necessarily connected. She's only connected because Gemma Chan was in a movie with her. But I would much rather go that route than her playing Dr. Aphra, if that makes any sense. But what I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. So.
Nice. Next is Lyndon Kaiser at Lyndon Kaiser. And they write,
handle.
Is it possible that hashtag Project Luminous is a reworking of George Lucas's original trilogy treatments that involved the microbiotic world of the Wills? If not, could unseen Lucas concepts be the foundation for the next post-Skywalker trilogy? John. What do you think?
That's a good question. It's funny. I only read my questions that I'm involved in. I like to hear it read and answered right away for the other ones, but go at it, John. Good luck.
Is Project Luminous a reworking of Lucas's original sequel trilogy treatments, which we tried to get out of J.W. Rinsler? He's like, I'm not telling you anything. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, because he knew.
Yeah,
he knew what the
he's
story
like, I
was.
can't tell you. I was like, all right, well, I had to ask. We have to get him back on, by the way, though.
Yeah.
He was like, people still talk about that interview, but anyway.
He was great.
No, I don't. I think Project Luminous, I forget who guessed this, Call It Culture, but I know the first person I heard it from was Jordan Pate at Star Wars Newsnet. He's like, I think that could be from a certain point of view for The Empire Strikes Back. And I think, James, you were like, that would make sense. Luminous.
It's on the anniversary of. And
Luminous beings we are is a line from Yoda in Empire. That would make a lot of sense to me. You have a bunch of authors on it, which are from a certain point of view, same type of deal. But they said Marvel's involved with this, so I don't think that
a ton of people.
I don't think that was the case from a certain point of view. But my bottom line here is, I'm dancing around it. I really don't. If they were going to use George's stuff, it was going to be for the sequel trilogy, because that would have been, that's, his saga that this whole thing was created from. They were clearly not interested in using that, and he made that clear in interviews that he gave them the stories. They said, we'll use them as consult, but then they eventually, scrapped his stories. They didn't want his ideas. So I don't think they're going to come back and say, well, now we'll use them for this book, though, George. Like, I think that'd be kind of an insult to George Lucas in a way. Like, they weren't good enough for your big movies, your big sequel trilogy to close out your saga, so we'll use them for this book over here. So I don't think that's the case. And now your second part of your question, will they use them for the next trilogy? That's where, they may use themes of George's, just like they use Ralph McQuarrie concept art to this day. So I think George Lucas will always kind of live inside Star Wars in one way or another. So they may revisit the Wills and midichlorians and that sort of thing. But I don't think they're taking his stories and like, now we're going to go make this trilogy based on George's stuff. That time came and went. They had the opportunity. They didn't want to do it. However you feel about it is, however you feel about it. But I don't think that's the case. But this really is a great question. And I think we could probably have a longer discussion about it. And maybe you guys probably have better takes than I do on it. But that's my take. So
excellent. And last but not least, at Ion Cannon, wrote, if you could extend the classic THX packaging for all 9 films, who would you put on the other 6 boxes? 1 to 3 and then 7 to 9. So the boxes have for A New Hope is Darth Vader, Empire Strikes Back is a Stormtrooper, and then Return of the Jedi is Yoda. So John, I'm going to start with you.
All right, so sequel trilogy, I'll go. Oh God, I think I had this figured out before. Luke for The Last Jedi. Kylo Ren for The Force Awakens with his mask. So Kylo Ren, then Luke Skywalker, and then Rey, I think is what I would do.
Wait. Rey for Force Awakens?
No, Kylo Ren, Force Awakens, then Luke Skywalker
With his mask on.
for 8, and then Rey, Episode 9, because I think she's going to steal the show in this one. Prequels, I'll go Qui-Gon Jinn. I'll go weird with Episode 2 because they went dumb with Empire Strikes Back, and I'll just say like Jango Fett. Because like Stormtrooper and Empire Strikes Back is just so stupid.
Well, it's the Empire.
I know, but a Stormtrooper? Like just Jeff? He's like, hey, I bought my head in that door. Now I'm on the cover. And Episode 3, I gotta go with Palpatine. Like his face is all messed up, Palpatine. So yeah, Qui-Gon.
All right, Lacey, what do you got?
Qui-Gon, Jango.
I want to see if any of our line up.
Yeah.
Phantom Menace, I would do Little Anakin. Attack of the Clones, I would do I guess Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then I would do Palpatine for the last one for 3. And then for the sequel trilogy, I actually would completely agree with John. I would do Kylo Ren as the first one, Luke Skywalker as the second one, and Rey as the final one.
Nice.
It makes sense.
I screwed up on my Phantom Menace pick, but James can have it. I'm sure he'll pick it.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I was surprised neither one of you went for it. My Phantom Menace is Maul.
Oh,
Damn it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I changed my mind. It's Maul.
Yeah.
Okay. My Attack of the Clones actually is with John. Django was my...
Oh, yeah.
I approached all these like when you think of this movie, like boom, you know what I mean? Like, and to me, like Jango
really
Fett and the
think of-
clones and all that stuff was like it popped in there.
Yeah.
And then 3 was a kind of a tie up for Palpatine as well,
Or
but I
Anakin,
actually went
yeah.
with Anakin. Yeah, I think Anakin, like with the long hair and the scar and stuff, would be really cool.
Pre-turn?
And then, of course, yes, and then the very next case is Darth Vader. Which tells the story into that too.
Damn it, James.
For 7, 8, and 9, I went Rey on 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I went Snoke on 8, and then I go Kylo with the broken mask
The repaired
for
mask.
9.
Oh, the red.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like him with
Yeah,
the
that's pretty
broken
good.
mask.
Yeah, I think your picks are
For
better than
9.
mine. Yeah.
I would change my Maul pick. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I would change.
That was a good question, though.
But I thought that was like a great question, and it really brings in a lot of like thought provoking, like, oh, I only get one,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah, send
which
it.
is a promo for One with the Force next week.
Send in
next
more
Thursday.
questions like that. Those are fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, and you can send us your questions at us or with hashtag Ask the Resistance. Back to you, John.
And if they're shy, they could always email them, right?
Yeah. To me
Yes.
at resistancebroadcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
What?
There you go. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching and being a part of the Resistance. To everyone who's new, we've seen a lot of new subscribers on our YouTube channel. So thanks for joining us over here. Our new Twitter followers, all that stuff. However you heard about us, whether it's via a friend or you found us somehow, thanks for being a part of the Resistance. The base is always open for you, 2 episodes a week. So make sure you are subscribed to us on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, all those different formats, whichever one's your favorite. Make sure you're also heading to our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com, every day. Like we said, we got that trailer coming next week. Things are about to really heat up, so head there every day for your latest Star Wars news and all that good stuff. And our Patreon page. If you guys want to support the show, like I teased earlier, 11/7/19. That's the date you want to keep your eye on, but it's active right now. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. We have 5 tiers starting at $2 a month for page access, and we post new content on there all the time. We have mini episodes that go up in case the 2 that we give you a week here aren't enough, and then a bunch of other stuff, and you get to interact with us, and you get to submit topics to the show once you reach certain tiers. So just go check it out. Again, patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. If you find a tier that works for you, sign up, join the Resistance. We really appreciate the support and hope you enjoy all the extra content. I do want to say a very special thank you to our Patreon generals. We have Holding It Down in Spain. We miss you in the chat too sometimes, buddy. Mello, aka a Grey Jedi. We have Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you, generals, so much for all of your support. And you guys will be seeing Mello do his pod race this coming Thursday. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and over at Star Wars Newsnet. James, how about you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks.
Rockin'. And keep tweeting at James Baney to tell him to give up that handle for James.
Yeah.
Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran.
Solid, guys. Oh, guys, also make sure you pick up your Make Solo 2 Happen shirts because apparently Jonas Sotomo has his. What? Yeah.
And Baby Baka.
Yeah, you may have seen the video that we posted from Dragon Con, which was back in August, but Alex Damon of Star Wars Explained offered this to us. He's like, I'm doing a panel with Jonas, so if you guys have shirts you want me to give them to him, can do. So not only did he talk to him about the movement, and Jonas was all about it and supporting it, and he said, fans, keep driving it home, keep using Make Solo 2 Happen. You never know what will happen. He's got his shirt. His baby's got his shirt. So if you want yours, go to TeePublic. Look us up, Resistance Broadcast, and Make Solo 2 Happen right there for you. And it's starting to get a little chilly out. So if you want to get a sweatshirt for that logo, do it. You just can't get James's yellow one. We'll get into that later. We'll be back here on Thursday, where guess what, guys? Ding, ding, ding. It's time to play Who Are You? This time it's going to be James giving the quotes to me and Lacey, and we'll see who comes out on top. But as always, we're going to talk about other fun stuff in our other segments. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you guys on Thursday morning right here on the Resistance Broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.